Ready? Chapter 39. Let's play. It was the last night shift. Kian was sleeping behind Aino, while Ask and Embla were carving wooden figures to pass the time. "What are you making?" Aino asked them. "Bears," they both answered, unanimously. "Why bears?" They both smiled at her. "I feel like they represent us. The ruler has his wolves, we have our bears." Both of the generals handed her their carved bears. Ask's was standing up on 2 legs, and Embla's was sitting down. "They're really well made," Aino said as she handed the wooden figures back. "Thank you," the generals said, once again unanimously. "The wolf army seems to be built up differently from yours." "It is. It's modeled after the old world Swedish armed forces, although I'm pretty sure their motto wasn't 'join us or die,'" Ask answered, with a sad laugh. "How did the 2 of you meet?" she asked the brigadier generals. "We met for the first time under an elm," Embla answered. "No, we didn't. It was an ash tree," Ask interjected. "No, the first time we kissed was under an ash. The first time we met was under an elm," Embla countered. "You're wrong. It was an ash," Ask said and stood up. "No, you are wrong. It was an elm," Embla said and stood up as well. The argument was now in full swing and Aino was being completely ignored. She sighed. "Good talk, good talk." As dawn was approaching, a man came and sat down by the campfire. Ask and Embla, however, took no notice of this. They were too busy arguing about yet another petty thing. Aino looked at the man, having taken a seat opposite her. "If it isn't the worried lieutenant, what brings you here?" she said and smiled. "What do you want from us?" he asked her. "What makes you so sure I want something?" she asked, leaning her head to the side. "What were you doing for these last 30 years? Just hiding in the northern forests? What were you waiting for?" "You ask a lot of questions," she said calmly as she looked at him. "What were Niila and Ayla to you? An experiment?" he said as he looked back at her. "That's a harsh way to put it." "I don't buy the whole explanation you gave the generals when they were children, that you just wanted to cure their disease with your blood. You gave them a liter each. Less than a drop would have been more than good enough. You were almost 170 years old at that point. There was no way you didn't already know that. Did you want them to share it? Was a blood army your long-term plan? Have we all danced after your pipe all along?" he said and stared at her. "Do you really want to play this game with me, Ossian?" she asked him. "I want the truth," he answered. "Well then, let's play." Kian was laying down with his eyes wide opened. He had been awakened by the arguing couple, and now he had heard the conversation between Aino and Ossian. The doctor had a point. Why had she given the twins so much of her blood? After living in that body for close to 170 years, she had to have known what it would do to her. She was withholding something from him. What was it? Ask and Embla looked at the horizon. The sun was rising. Their night shift was over, and the rest of the officers would soon be waking up. They both sat down again, and only now noticed that another officer had joined them. He and their creator were both staring at each other, not moving a muscle. What were they doing? Aino was smiling. Ossian was starting to grow on her. He wasn't like the rest of them. There was no pretense or flatter with him. He was a smart guy, but he was in way over his head. It was time to give him a treat. Would he be able to figure it out before it was too late? Ossian felt his heartbeat slow down. No blood seemed to pump through his heart all of a sudden. He tried desperately to make his blood follow his command, but he couldn't. He had lost all control over it. It was her. It had to be. Her blood. It had never been his to begin with. She had been able to control him from the moment it entered his bloodstream. It was at her mercy he had been able to become a blood mage. She could take it away as she pleased. She wasn't like them. They had to touch their enemies to drain them, but she could do it from anywhere. She was just looking at him, controlling him, like it was nothing. Aino, what are you doing? Keon asked as he stood up behind her. She had been staring at Ossian, and the lieutenant looked anything but well. Was she doing something to him? She turned around and looked at Keon. Ossian felt the grip on him loosen immediately. He was back in control. His blood was pumping as it should, and his heartbeat was normal again. He had to tell one of his commanding generals. This was bad. Keon sat down next to Aino. Remember who you are. Don't lose your grip now. Remember why you are here, he whispered to her. Aino took his hand. At some moments I can feel myself slipping. It is going to be harder than I first thought. If they are all around me at once, I don't know what will happen to me, she whispered back. The whole thing was starting to scare Keon. She was his only lifeline, the only one who cared enough to save him. He couldn't lose her to them. Ossian looked at Alvid from afar. There had been no chance for him to talk to his brigadier general yet. They were already on the move. As soon as the sun had risen, they were off. He would have to approach him as soon as they were there. He couldn't lose any more time. It wasn't long before the ball would start rolling, and he would have no chance to stop it. I like the new look. Innovative, Aino commented as she saw Atle. Funny, Atle said bitterly. A giant black eye covered almost half the right of his face. So Niila got to you. I do remember him being left-handed, Aino said casually. Do you have any idea how hard his punches are? The lieutenant general said and looked directly at her. Hey, I wasn't the one who told him. You can't blame me for this one, she said, throwing her hands in the air, almost falling off Keon's back in the process. Niila and Ayla stopped in their tracks. They both looked at each other and nodded. The rest of the officers stopped as well. Most of them sat down on the ground, seemingly preparing for a long wait. Keon and Aino looked around confused. All they could see were open fields. There was nothing else here. Niila turned around and looked at his creator. This is as far as you'll go, Aino. This and Tue will be in charge until we come back. He took off together with his sister and the 2 lieutenant generals. Where are they going? And why are they taking Juha and Atle with them? Aino asked the 2 major generals. The plan was that the lieutenant generals would stay behind just like us, but both of them have gotten on their generals' bad sides, so they're coming with them, leaving me and Disa in charge instead, Tue answered. And where they are going, you'll find out soon enough, Disa said and winked.